The film begins with a journalist named Laura returning to the newspaper office after a work trip to England. It's clear that Laura is talented at her job, as her colleagues congratulate her on her latest article. Then, Laura meets with the editor-in-chief and tells her that her nerves are on edge because the woman who spoke to Laura and told her the details of the crime was killed right in front of her eyes. The editor-in-chief explains that things like this often happen in their line of work and suggests that Laura take some time off to rest. But Laura says she has already received an invitation from a famous billionaire named Richard, who asked her to join a weekend trip on his yacht. He's hosting a charity party to raise donations in honor of his wife, Anne, who is suffering from cancer and is near death. The next day, we see Laura on the boat with her colleague Adam, heading toward Richard's yacht. As soon as they step on board, the staff welcomes Laura, but strangely asks her to take off her shoes. That's when Laura learns that this is part of the traditions of luxury yachts. Since it's her first time on a rich person's yacht, she didn't know about it. After getting through this awkward moment, Laura meets a doctor named Mehta, who tells her he's personally in charge of Anne's treatment. He's also been Richard's friend for years. Once Laura finishes talking with Mehta, she's shocked to see her ex-boyfriend Ben on the yacht. We find out that Ben works as a photojournalist and that he and Laura broke up a long time ago. Now he works as a private photographer for wealthy people's events. Ben tries to take advantage of the situation to get close to Laura again, but she politely turns him down and walks away. Then Adam takes her and introduces her to the famous fashion designer Heidi, who already knows Laura and has heard a lot about her. Heidi introduces Laura to her husband, Tom, and tells her he wants to write his memoirs and that he couldn't find a better journalist than her to do it. Laura feels happy and promises them she'll live up to their expectations. After that, all the guests gather, and Richard arrives to welcome them. He tells them he's invited them to a dinner party that night, and afterwards there will be a big gathering at his house on the island they're heading to. He also mentions that his wife, Anne, will make a public appearance during the event to deliver a thank you speech. Later, the yacht crew escorts the guests to their cabins, and it's clear that Laura is very happy about the trip. At night, she puts on an evening dress and leaves her cabin to attend the dinner. At the same time, Ben is walking down the hallway, showing his colleague an old picture of him with Laura, explaining that he broke up with her because she was always stressed and exhausted from work. When Laura overhears this, she feels embarrassed and quickly hides inside cabin number 10. The girl inside the cabin looks surprised to see her, but Laura apologizes for barging in. The girl accepts her apology and goes into the bathroom. Laura goes to the dinner party and is surprised to find everyone dressed casually, while she's the only one in an evening gown. Still, everyone is impressed by her beauty and elegance. During dinner, one of the yacht's staff members comes up to Laura and says Anne wants to meet her after dinner. When they meet, Anne asks Laura to review the speech she'll deliver to the guests. Laura finds out that Anne plans to donate all her wealth to charity. Anne tells her that her husband, Richard, won't like this decision because he's greedy and just waiting for her to die so he can inherit her fortune. While she's talking, Anne suddenly starts coughing heavily, and Laura tries to help her, suggesting she call a doctor. But Anne stops her and says she stopped taking her medication because she's tired of it and has accepted her fate. Laura decides to let her rest for a while, but before she leaves, Anne tells her they'll continue their conversation the next day. Laura agrees and walks away. At night, Laura is sleeping in her bed, but she suddenly wakes up to the sound of a woman screaming loudly in the cabin next to hers. She gets up and opens the balcony door to find out what is happening. Suddenly, she hears a sound of someone being thrown into the sea, but she doesn't manage to see who it is. Laura is shocked when she sees a handprint smeared with blood on the glass barrier separating her balcony from the neighboring one. She immediately calls the yacht crew and urgently reports that someone has been thrown into the sea from cabin number 10. They activate the alarm systems and declare a full emergency, turning on all the yacht's lights. They search the water for the person who was thrown overboard but find no one. Then all the passengers are awakened to account for everyone safely. After that, Richard goes with the yacht captain and the security supervisors to talk to Laura. And Laura is shocked when the captain tells her that there wasn't any guest in cabin number 10 at all, because the guest who was supposed to stay there had canceled an hour before the trip. And Laura is completely stunned and describes to them the mysterious girl she saw in cabin number 10 when she was hiding from Ben, and explains that she didn't see her among the guests when she first arrived on the yacht. And at that moment, Laura remembers the handprint on the glass and takes the captain to show it to him. But she is shocked to find that the handprint has completely disappeared. And meanwhile, the captain receives confirmation that all the passengers are on the yacht, and everyone realizes that someone must have been playing a trick on Laura, and they leave her confused and extremely tense. And the next day, Laura talks to Richard and tells him that she is certain she saw the girl in cabin number 10, and asks him to show her all the yacht crew members because she suspects the missing girl might be one of them. And to reassure her, Richard gathers all the crew so she can confirm that the girl she saw is not part of the yacht staff at all. And although she doesn't reach a conclusion, later she meets Ben and reviews all the photos he took since they boarded the yacht. And by chance, she sees the girl she saw in cabin number 10 appearing in one of the photos taken at one of Richard's parties. She runs quickly to talk to Richard and asks him if he knows this girl, but he tells her that she is one of the guests from a party he held 5 months ago and that he could never remember who she is. Meanwhile, Dr. Mehta talks to Laura and tells her that she's experiencing hallucinations because she is suffering from post-traumatic effects, especially after seeing the woman who was killed in England. He reassures her that they understand her condition and appreciate what she is going through, but Laura doesn't believe him. Her suspicion grows even more, and she is determined to uncover the truth. She sneaks into cabin number 10 from the balcony of her own cabin, and as soon as she enters, she starts searching the cabin for any evidence that could help her. Eventually, she finds a strand of the girl's hair inside a crack in the sink. Laura then shows him the girl's hair and tells him that this proves the girl was indeed in cabin number 10, which means someone on the yacht killed her. Since everyone on the yacht denied seeing her, the murderer must be one of the wealthy passengers who paid them off to keep silent. Although Ben believes her, he warns her and asks her to stop investigating the crime and ignore the matter entirely, because she is no match for the rich people on the yacht, and even the least of them could completely ruin her life. But Laura doesn't listen and is determined to continue on her path. The next day, she goes to the yacht crew and shows them a picture of the girl, asking if anyone saw her on the yacht during the trip, but none of them recognize her. When she returns to her cabin, she notices that it has been cleaned and tidied up, so she sneaks in and looks for the strand of hair she had hidden in the bathroom sink. She feels relieved when she finds it in its place, takes it, and decides to put it in her jacket to keep it safe. At that moment, she notices a button on the floor, picks it up, and puts it in the evidence bag she has with her. Later, she goes to stand on the yacht deck, and suddenly, someone comes up behind her, pushes her, and throws her into the swimming pool. Then they close the pool cover to drown her. Luckily, the pool has a glass wall overlooking the guest rooms inside the yacht, and Heidi sees Laura struggling and calls for help. Laura is rescued at the last moment. Afterwards, she tells everyone that someone tried to kill her, but no one on the yacht believes her. At that point, Laura notices a button missing from Dr. Mehta's shirt and suspects that he was in her cabin while she was away. When he denies it, Laura asks about her jacket containing the evidence. The security officer tells her that they took it to be washed. Laura rushes to the laundry area and searches for the evidence bag, but cannot find it anywhere. At night, Laura sits in her cabin, terrified after what happened to her. Suddenly, someone knocks on her door and runs away, so she rushes out and chases after them until they reach the maintenance room. There, she's shocked to come face to face with the same girl she saw in cabin number 10. But the bigger shock comes when she realizes the girl isn't Richard's wife. The girl hits Laura hard on the head, knocking her unconscious. When Laura wakes up, she finds herself locked in a room on the lower deck of the yacht. Anne comes to check on her, showing sympathy and telling Laura she doesn't want her to get hurt because of her. Anne decides to tell her the truth. The woman Laura saw isn't actually Anne, Richard's wife, but someone who looks almost exactly like her, and her name is Carrie. It's then revealed that Richard discovered Anne's plan to donate all her fortune to charity, so he devised a scheme to get rid of her. Using artificial intelligence and facial recognition software, he searched the internet for a woman who looked identical to Anne, eventually finding Carrie and paying her a large sum of money to impersonate his wife for one day, just long enough to sign over Anne's entire fortune to him. On the day of the yacht trip, he made Carrie hide in cabin number 10, but his plan fell apart when Laura accidentally saw him with Carrie in the cabin, leading to Richard to attack Laura and kill her, then throw her body into the sea right in front of Carrie, who was horrified by what she had just witnessed. In the present, Carrie continues talking and tells Laura that she never imagined Richard would actually kill his wife. All she wanted was to take the money so she could give her daughter a better life. Laura tells her she must go to the police and warns her that Richard might kill her after she signs the transfer papers, but Carrie refuses, saying that Richard could harm her daughter and that it's better for her to do what he wants, hoping she'll still be able to live a good life with her child. Carrie then tells Laura that they're almost at the island and says she'll leave the door unlocked so Laura can escape before Richard or anyone working with them sees her. And then she leaves. At that moment, Richard discovers that Laura has been missing for a while, so he orders Meta to find her and get rid of her before they reach the island. Meta follows the order and starts searching for her everywhere on the yacht. Meanwhile, Laura leaves her room and goes to Anne's cabin, takes the letter Anne was supposed to read at the party, and keeps it with her. But as soon as she steps out of the cabin, she runs into Meta, holding a syringe filled with poison. Laura tries to escape, but the yacht's captain blocks her way and grabs her before she can run. Meta moves in to inject her with the poison, but suddenly, Ben shows up and attacks Meta, pushing him away from Laura. In the struggle, Meta accidentally stabs himself in the neck with the syringe. Ben collapses from the poison's effects, while Laura fights off the captain and manages to knock him out. She rushes to Ben, terrified and in tears over what happened to him, but Ben urges her to run away quickly. She jumps into the sea and keeps swimming with all her strength until she reaches the island. There, she finds a small cabin in front of her, and luckily, it's empty. She quickly lights a fire to warm herself up. At the same time, Richard and his guests arrive on the island. Meta informs Richard about what happened, telling him that Laura couldn't possibly survive the freezing water and must have died from the cold. But he doesn't know that Laura has already left the cabin and is making her way toward Richard's house. Then we see Carrie signing the papers to give up her fortune to Richard in front of the lawyer. Meanwhile, Laura manages to sneak into Richard's house and meets the housekeeper, explaining everything that happened to her. To make her believe her story, Laura shows her the speech she had planned to read at the party. Finally, the time for the party comes, and Richard stands next to Carrie in front of all the guests. Suddenly, Laura appears among the guests and takes the microphone from Richard, exposing him in front of everyone. He tries to deny what she's saying and orders security to remove her, but he's shocked when Carrie stops them and tells them to let her speak. Richard then grabs Carrie, holds a knife to her neck, and tells everyone that she's not Sean, that she's an imposter. By doing so, he ends up exposing himself and uses the chaos to escape, but Laura chases after him and catches up to him at the boat he's trying to flee on. At that moment, Siggy arrives and shoots him in the shoulder. Laura begs Richard to release Carrie and turn himself in, but he ignores her and starts strangling Carrie to kill her, so Laura hits him on the head, killing him. A few days later, we see Laura in her office reviewing the article she wrote explaining everything that happened in cabin number 10, and we learn that Anne's money was donated to cancer research foundations and that Mita and the yacht captain were arrested and will face trial. Finally, Carrie calls Laura and tells her she's now living a peaceful, happy life with her daughter, and that's how the movie ends.